He's not a body part dealer. He's not a kidnapper. He's not a terrorist. He's not a ritualist. So why exactly is he eating human flesh? Last week, I posted my review of the new Nollywood series To Kill a Monkey on Instagram and on Twitter. While my review echoed some people's thoughts about the series, so many people disagreed. And let me tell you, for this group of people, they wanted to tear my clothes. They called me names and said all sorts. But the funny thing is, none of them actually said my points were wrong. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to discuss what worked and what did not work for me in the series To Kill a Monkey. To Kill a Monkey follows the story of Efemini. Efemini is poor, as in dirt poor. So is forced by circumstances to pursue a life of cybercrime after a chance meeting with an old friend. What did I like about this series? First thing, amazing performances. It was such a pleasure watching the actors in this series do their thing. Benson, who played the role of Efe, I thought he gave a very moving performance, especially in the first two episodes. The pain in his eyes was so believable. Like, his portrayal was very compelling. You could actually believe that this guy was poor and going through so much. Then there was Lilian. Take it from me when I say that Lilian gave the best performance of her entire career in this series. She owned the role and truly became Idia. There was Bimbo Akintola as well. I thought she delivered a very solid performance as Inspector Ogunlesi. Special accolades to Bucci Franklin. Bucci Franklin gave a very nuanced and powerhouse performance as Oboz. I feel like his performance was so good, it gives this illusion that the series itself is better than it actually is. If you ask people why they loved To Kill a Monkey, they'll tell you the performances were so good. Oboz carried the series To Kill a Monkey so convincingly, it's almost enough to blind you to its flaws. Right? I've always recognized and appreciated his skill as an actor. Whether he stars in a bad film or a good film, his talent never fades into the background. I think he's a really good actor, and his delivery in this series is the main reason so many people walked away thinking To Kill a Monkey was a great show. So I must say that I am thankful to Kemi Adetiba for giving him a role that allows him to just shine. Another thing is that I thought the production quality was decent. Set design, visuals, the camera work, I thought everything was good to a very large extent, and it contributed positively to the overall viewing experience. I also like the fact that the story touched themes like friendship, morality, loss, grief, mental health struggles. This story shows us the thin line between right and wrong, as well as the dehumanizing effects of poverty. Like, when I was watching, I was just saying, poverty is a bastard, because indeed poverty is a bastard. So what were the issues? Number one, in this story about a brilliant poor man forced into a life of cybercrime, I expected a deeper dive into the dynamics of cybercrime. I wanted to hear the technical lingos. I wanted to see believable scam operations. I wanted to see like a glimpse into the real world effects of these crimes, right? But there was nothing. Like, it was ridiculous, because it's like watching a movie based on basketball and you never see one basketball match, right? This story started looking like another variation of King of Boys, filled with gang attacks, retaliations, counterattacks, featuring a bald-headed, flesh-eating godfather who appeared out of nowhere and suddenly just changed the entire direction of the story. I was confused. Another issue I had with this series was that I thought there were too many unnecessary scenes. They were just dragging it. I felt like they were just trying to justify the need for 8 episodes, because they wasted so much time on irrelevant scenes but failed to show us the important things that we needed to see. I put it to you that every important information, every detail that should have and could have made this series exciting, they did not show us. Instead of watching Efe and Amanda's intimate dinner, it was 7 minutes long by the way, where they discussed the most irrelevant stuff, or watching Onome tell us how he bedwet until he was 21, or watching all those other irrelevant things, I would have liked to see like a montage or something just showing us how Oboz and Efe's relationship and business evolved. I would have liked to see how they moved from people who randomly connected to becoming like real brothers. I would have liked to see how the business progressed from using jazz to pull clients to doing like international fraud. Unfortunately, after we saw Oboz and Efe again, it was 4 years later. And when we saw them, Oboz had a bag over Efe's head and tried to kill him just because someone said Efe cheated him. So it was difficult for me to buy the whole brotherly stuff they had going on because we never really saw how that relationship evolved, right? In the same vein, if you talk about the NCCC office, I would have liked to see some of their operations. Like, do you get? All through the series, we just saw the NCCC people sitting around their tables, pretending to be working, pressing random computers. It was like they were working at a Jumia call center. They wanted us to believe that Inspector Ogulesi was actually a brilliant investigator, one of the best the agency had. But nowhere in this series did she display any hint of this intelligence. They talked a lot about the monkey case. They talked about these brilliant fraudsters moving in a way the agency had never seen before. But they showed us nothing. Efe and Oboz, we never saw them carrying out any of their monkey gang activities. It was almost like they stopped working. They should have been engaged in digital warfare. That was the core of the story, but the core of the story was relegated to the background and they just started this unnecessary violence that made no sense. To make matters worse, even the violence was not properly executed. What do I mean by this? For example, the explosion. What was that explosion? So, less than 24 hours after Oboz was attacked, his men acquired a bomb, gained access to teacher's compound, and installed this bomb in his personal car. Hey God, it was ridiculous. But then the explosion itself, the car exploded, yet nothing else was destroyed. The car itself remained whole. The people standing a few feet away were untouched. Hey, God of Nazareth. Like, it looked ridiculous. Even the single body parts that they wanted us to believe flew out of the burning car, which was the small hand that we saw, right? Did you see it? It was just casually lying down there on the floor. Hours after the incident, it was unburnt, it was untouched, it was perfectly posed with just the right amount of blood seeping out of the severed bone. And there was the bracelet that was around the wrist. That one too looked very new. I'm like, Abba, attention to detail. At least if you want to say this hand was burnt in the fire, let the hand actually be burnt now. Again, what was the meaning of the head that they put in that child's bag? Whose head was it? I would have liked to see how they carried a bloody head like that into a school compound, entered the tiny classroom, and dropped it inside the child's bag without being noticed. Show us! There was teacher who was keeping body parts in his house. There was even that scene where he told his chef to cook it for him. And I was like, for what reason? This man is supposed to be an old school traditional fraudster, right? He is not a body part dealer. He is not a kidnapper. He is not a terrorist. He is not a ritualist. So why exactly is he eating human flesh? Let's talk about grandma's death. Who was the child that stabbed her? Maybe I missed something because she was just a random girl standing in front of a shop and this man beckoned to her and gave her a knife. And this child walked confidently and stabbed this woman and walked away with the confidence of a trained assassin. The most ridiculous part was that no one saw her, no one stopped her. Sonny Bello's storyline was also riddled with so many flaws, right? You know, they showed us that he followed somebody from, he entered a bus, then saw one of the men from the cell. Then he decided to follow him. He started following this guy when it was still midday until it was late at night. Still, this guy that I was following did not notice that somebody was following him. It is well with us. Let's talk about Sonny's death. 1 minute, Inspector Ogules is the suspect. Next thing we know, they said, oh, there was a reflection that proved that when Ogunlesi left him, he was still alive. And my question is how? What glass or mirror did this reflection come from? Where did the footage come from? Are they telling us that there was a camera inside the police station or inside Sonny's dark cell? Okay, if there was a camera, how did it not capture the actual killers when they were leaving or entering? Make it make sense. How about the task force that was in charge of the monkey case? They did nothing. Do you get? I feel like the NCCC would have been a good opportunity for this series to highlight some of the tactics that is used by the good guys to track and stop cyber criminals. This would have made the series very thrilling and very credible. It would have helped us understand the scope of modern day fraud and the intelligence that is required to stop it. Then there was Mo's nightmares that led nowhere. You know that she was always having dreams where her children will call her name and she'll be like, oh, where are you? Where are you? And because they never really showed us her children's dead bodies, I kind of just assumed that it was linked to them. Then she had that conversation with her therapist and the therapist said, oh, you need to face your fear, blah, blah, blah. Then she decided to face her fear and open the door in her dream to the painful revelation. Imagine my surprise when he led her to the hospital lobby where Efe was screaming. How is that the memory she was suppressing all along? I honestly believe they just forced that in to create what they thought would be a stronger tie between Mo and Efe. But if you ask me, I'll say that was very lazy writing. Another thing I did not like about this series was I did not particularly care about any of the characters. Don't get me wrong, I genuinely enjoyed watching Oboz and Idia, but it was impossible to root for any character in this series because the decisions they made were so consistently ridiculous that it will be impossible to care about them. Let's use Efe for example. At the beginning, we pitied him. We even understood his dilemma and his internal conflict. But at the end of the day, he was a very dull guy. He was the same one that allowed somebody sleep with him without collecting his money first. He was the same person that took that keke at night, even though it was obvious to everybody that it was a trap. It was the same mumu that somehow allowed Sparkles, or is it Amanda? He allowed her easily access a video that he knew could ruin his life. Why was Efe meeting Onome inside the jet that he was using to escape? Like, it made no sense. When he knew that he was not going to travel with Amanda, why did he even bother telling her that he was running away? He didn't even need to tell her anything. So, he showed no foresight, no sense. I honestly did not care if he was arrested or not. Another person to talk about is Teacher. Like I said earlier, a very problematic character that dragged the entire series down. His appearance, his actions, his death, none of it appealed to me. They could have used him to highlight the contrast between old school fraud schemes and modern AI-powered scams. But instead, they made him a thug with that his ugly bald cap. Every time he appeared on my screen, he annoyed me. Then there was Evie. I could not make sense of her character. They somehow wanted us to believe that she left where she was living initially to come back to her father's place because somebody was trying to sleep with her. But then somehow she started dating Oboz. Money could not have been a problem, right? Money was not the problem. So how exactly did that happen? They wanted us to believe that she loved Oboz, and even after he abandoned her and rejected the pregnancy, she was still on his side and against her father. Why? Why was she even mad at her father? Maybe if we had seen their relationship unfold in a way that felt sincere, maybe her loyalty would have made sense to me. But generally, the character was just really pointless and annoying. Then there is Nosa, the absolute worst. I have nothing to say about her because I did not even know why she was fighting with her husband. Like, it just came out of nowhere. It was just out of place. So, my question is, how do you like a series where you are not even invested in any character's journey, where their wins and their losses mean nothing to you? Very difficult, right? Moving on, we ended the series with Efe story time and a courtroom scene that was very underwhelming. I thought the scene where Efe and Onome were arrested was really bland. That should have been the highlights, funny enough, but it was just there. This is just my opinion, but I thought it would have been more realistic if Amanda released the video through an anonymous account, then just observed from the sideline. And the video would have gone viral regardless. A celebrity posting something like that with her account, then even having the audacity to show up in court to testify about dating a very married fraudster. All because of what? I didn't get it. It did not make any sense to me. Then there was the whole scene in the court. Number one, they were behaving as if they did not have a lawyer. It was giving me, those old Nollywood Yoruba films where their lawyer does not have sense, because it did not make sense to me. I personally did not think they had enough evidence to even charge Ife for murder. Yes, maybe conspiracy, or maybe they can accuse him of abetting or that kind of stuff, but murder, it just seemed like a stretch to me. I also did not think they had enough evidence to tie him to the activities of the monkey gang, because none of those people actually knew about his operation. So what evidence? I know they said Amanda gave Inspector Ogunlesi a journal of evidence, but what evidence? Show us. They did not show us anything. So again, it was ridiculous to me. And that scene where Ozzy Boy showed up, then shot him in court, or the scene where Nosa came around walking like a badass to collect his money. Oh my God, those two things annoyed my soul. I just hissed while watching, because God knows Nosa deserved nothing, not even spit, nothing. See, overall for me, I will rate To Kill a Monkey 4.5 over 10. And this is because even though the performances were good, the story and the storytelling were totally flawed. I know some people confuse excessive violence with brilliance, but brilliance in storytelling to me lies in being able to adapt your style to fit the story you are telling. In To Kill a Monkey, Kemi Adetiba kept on dragging our usual cinematic tropes into a new story that demanded a completely different approach. Overall, To Kill a Monkey was not a good watch for me. I thought it was poorly thought out. I thought it was misguided because it was unable to say anything new or insightful about the subject it was addressing. For viewers who crave logic, depth, layered storytelling, this series will leave you feeling quite disappointed, because despite some strong performances and decent production values, the core of this series was just not okay. So, have you seen To Kill a Monkey? What would you rate it over 10? Please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.